I actually had a bit of doubt before I wanted to share this video, but eventually I felt it was necessary. This video will seem a little pessimistic, but it's dedicated to the types of people that I cannot stand the most, like the most hated people in my opinion. And this is based from life experience, from from my friends' experience, like parents' experience, all those. So they generally fall into five categories, and I'm gonna summarize and explain them all. The ones who are unwilling to do the most minor favors for people, the complainer, the one with the big ego, those who are unaware, and I'll it's a little confusing. I'll explain it later, and those who are cunning. And yeah, let's uh let's dig in. So the first one, the first type of people that I really do not like are those who are unwilling to do even the most minor favors for other people. Let me give you an example. So the other day, I was at Surrey and I just finished class there, and I ran out of cigarettes. So I saw someone who was smoking a cigarette, and it's pretty common, for from at least my experience, for strangers or friends to just lend each other a single cigarette. Like if it was like for asking for five cigarettes, then like no. And who are you anyway if you're borrowing like five at a time? Right? You must be a really heavy smoker. So then I approached this guy, and then I was like, hey, excuse me, can I have a cigarette? And then he's like, it'll be $1. But that's not what really ticked me off. That alone. He said it'll be $1, and he had like this very angry, superior, condescending sneer on his face, as if he looked at me as if I was some sort of cockroach, and that like as if I couldn't afford it, basically. I did have the money in my bag at the time, but I just simply lied and said I don't have the money. And he's like, okay, screw off. You're gonna have to go ask someone else. Uh, it seems like he's the type of person that only does things for people who can do things for him. And, that's not really what a kind person is. Like, God doesn't teach us to be that type of person. Be the type of person who does things for others, even if they can't do anything in return for you. Because that, frankly, if I was the CEO, that would be the type of person I would want as my as a senior manager. Because like I know that he does things from the kindness of his heart and without prejudgment of others. And it really ticks me off, like whenever like I'm in school, um, and then a kid, I ask, hey, can I have a French fry? And then he's like, no, no, you can't. And there's sadly nothing you can do because it's their cigarettes, it's their fries, they don't have to share it and they don't want to. But let me tell you something. People who are unwilling to do even the most minor favors for other people, even strangers, I would not want to make friends with them based on that act alone. You're not supposed to judge, but based on this action alone, because then I would know that if it came to something much bigger, like I sprained my ankle or like had a sudden medical heart condition, I know for sure that he would not be the type of person to help me get an ambulance or to help me in a dire situation if I was homeless, or like not that I would ever be homeless, or if I had financial troubles, if I, had heart conditions or something. This guy who refuses to even give a single cigarette would definitely not go through all the trouble to helping me get an ambulance or something like that. He'd be like, look at it and shrug it off as if it's not my problem because I can't do anything for him anyways. But let me tell you this. That I didn't really have anything to tell. I just gave him a face like this. Yeah. The second type of person that I really do not like is the complainer. The complainer is basically someone who complains and nags all the time. Now, we know like the thing nagging is caring, like, but that's for parents only. And my parents don't even complain that much. My mom's a pretty cheerful, positive person. So like, yeah, that doesn't apply there. But like I really do not like people who always complain. I have a few examples. Okay. The first one is back when I was playing on Board Game Arena. I seldom do now, but like the website Board Game Arena, one of my favorite games was a game called Hearts. And this guy who called himself some new guy, which he's old as a rotten egg now. It's like been 4 years since he created that account. He should really consider changing it. But like now that was a pretty derogatory term, but I think it's pretty suiting since he is like he fits into this category perfectly. Okay, so like we were playing a game of Hearts, and basically for those of you who do not know Hearts, I apologize. I don't really want to go into all the details of how the game's played. You can simply Google it. We were playing a game of Hearts, and then every time like someone did something that he felt was wrong, he would immediately condescend and criticize them, calling them idiot or stupid. Like like every time like someone didn't attack the leader and passed him the queen of spades, which is worth 13 points, he would immediately scold them and tell them that they're not knowing what they're doing at Hearts. Or like like yeah, like, or every time like like someone didn't pass a heart because like for whatever reason, like, and then someone else shot the moon, some new guy would always complain regardless. And like you might argue, but he wouldn't complain if he won, right? Well, no, he would say like, oh man, if people insist on me winning, I'll oblige. Like, and then he's like, ha, GG, funny stuff. But like so here's the thing. The first thing, it's like a lesson from Darman comes, you should never judge anybody because you don't know what their situation is like. So like for those of you who know the game Hearts, like basically you would know that even as a skilled player like me, it is very difficult to hold on to the queen of spades. Like even if you have lots of skill, it's hard to always be able to pass it to the leader. Things happen. And like shooting the moon, like I get blamed by some new guy. I gotten blamed by him like 5 times. And like like because like for shooting the moon, like not passing a heart and allowing someone to shoot the moon. New guy, let me tell you this: I will not by no circumstance pass a heart if it will jeopardize my safety. Like if I feel that the hand I have is dangerous, the last thing I'd be concerned about is someone shooting the moon, because frankly, I'd rather hurt all three of us than just myself. Yeah. Like, and here's the thing, like, some new guy, like, I haven't seen your profile, but I can guarantee you there, like, from the 4,000 games of Hearts you played, do not tell me that there was not one game where you did not pass a single heart, and there was not one game where you gave the queen of spades to someone other than the leader. Because then let me tell you, you're a goddamn hypocrite. People who always complain and condescend and scold others, they themselves tend not to have a very good game. Like, no, sorry, I should generalize. People who tend to scold others, like, in life, they tend to be the type of people who are not very good at life themselves, like it'd be like if a classmate of yours like made fun of you for getting a C+ where you usually get A's, but he's really trying to hide the fact that he's a student who mainly gets C's and D's. It's sort of equivalent to that. Yeah. But new guy, like, until you've walked a mile in my shoes, do not judge me. You most certainly have broken one of your rules, in which case you are the idiot. You got your own karma because you did not pass a heart to someone and they shot the moon, and you like passed the queen of spades to someone other than the leader because you were scared you were going to get it. I've seen your stats. You're almost as good as a player of good of a player as I am, so you would know this. The other type of complainer I have, like those types of people that I do not like, are those sort of YouTubers that always post negative stuff. I don't know entire specifics, but two examples I'll give is like you probably don't know them, but it's A Dose of Buckley and August the Duck. So let's talk a bit about A Dose of Buckley. Every year, A Dose of Buckley makes like, a list of the 10 worst songs of 20XX, basically, and like every and he also makes a bunch of things like musical autopsies, like saying what's wrong with this song, what's wrong with that song. And he just comments on negative stuff like what's wrong with BuzzFeed's moms or anything like that. And like he can, like, into my eyes, everything he comments about that's bad, it seems perfectly natural to me. Like, I would not want to be friends with A Dose of Buckley because it's like he's always complaining about stuff. Same thing with August the Duck. I won't talk about August the Duck, but he basically, it's similar to A Dose of Buckley, but A Dose of, and then like he's like, oh, like this song is bad because of blah blah blah. I'm like, bruh, this song was rated number 7 on the global list, making fun of Taylor Swift and such. And then like, bro, if you think you're such a good artist, go make music yourself. Like, instead of sitting there complaining about every single bad thing other people are doing. Hey, at least that mom that you made fun of in BuzzFeed, at least she has kids and she seems like a loving and caring mother. You, on the other hand, are almost 40. You have a fully unshaven beard, and like you don't have any kids. Like, you never even got married once, so take that. Like, and then he comments A Dose of Buckley, just like musical autopsies, like not one thing is positive. And even on the things he does, that the topics that seem neutral, like one of the videos he made was how to be a YouTube commentator. And then he's like, he says it's unlikely you'll ever be a YouTube commentator, but I'll help you out anyway. He sounded condescending there. Another video was how to make a Halloween cake. And he's like, he's like, just sit home crying and eating it alone like you always do. That's another condescending attitude. I would not want to be friends with this type of person, because I do not want to have to change who I am just to make him happy. And then I would be worried about every single step I do that would, like, instantly turn him into an explosive. This actually okay, so wow, we're done here. This actually transposes well into my next topic, the person with a big ego. Part 3 here, a person with a big ego. People with big egos tend not to listen to advice very well. And this was me. I hated myself for this in the past. So let's start off with this talk show I was watching. Like, there was this guy who there was this show called Only You. It was called Only, where it's like it's a Chinese show where people try to get a job, basically, where they go through an interview with 8 to 12 bosses and all that. And there was one particular candidate that caught my eye, and he wanted to apply for, this particular guy wanted to apply for the sales associate position. And yeah, he wanted to, and then like, it seemed good at first. He sounded, he delivered very thoughtful, very nice answers. And then, like, then a boss commented on his shirt, basically, saying it doesn't match with the shape of your face. Another boss, like, they were commenting about his clothes, like, they said your leg cuffs are not consistent on each leg. One leg cuff is higher than the other. And then he was like, okay, yeah. Like, his smile turned from this to like, yeah. And then the the final like straw for him, like, you know, was like when a lady, like, I think he said something that was a little provocative or something, or a little negative. I don't quite remember what it was. Cause yeah, and then like, you know, this boss was like, man, like when we need to develop good characters, we need to be nice. And then he suddenly got mad. It's like, does this have anything to do with having a nice character? And then like, you know, like suddenly totally out of the nowhere. And then like, you know, like this boss was very nice and trying to talk with him. Like, no, keep in mind, at no point did she say anything to provoke him. And he's like, just because of my mishap, you're allowed to criticize me. Just because I did this, you're allowed to do that and such. And then it's like he immediately lost a lot of job opportunities because of his single explosion. Like, you know, first of all, like this is I'm gonna go back to the big ego thing in a second, but bosses will usually not want to hire this type of person because like it's similar to the complainer, like you have no idea when he's gonna explode. And like at a time of conflict or a time of criticism, he will have no ability to control his emotions, which is very scary for any boss. Or yeah, like yeah. And you might be thinking, well, you know, he seems to be very easily agitated because this boss talked to him about being nice, but no. I think this particular candidate was already pissed off when those bosses were talking about like, you know, his clothes and his like, you know, like not matching his face and his pants cuffs being different. Like you could immediately see that his lips were contorting into a shape of anger, basically. You know, this is one of those people, you know, who has like big ego problems. It's important to have, you know, some ego and some self-esteem, but when it's too much, like, you know, you end up feeling that you can't be criticized, and like you're, because of your ego, you feel like you can't be criticized, so you do whatever you can to like cover up any small mistake you have. Like, you know, like this candidate was making excuses about his clothes and making excuses about his mishaps and such. But this actually has a series of negative consequences down the line where it's like the more you try to cover up a small mistake, the bigger mistakes you end up making in the process. And in the end, this guy didn't get a job offer despite he had some competency. Yeah, for me, like, you know, I also had, you know, a big ego for the longest time. Like, you know, I refused, you know, to sort of listen. One particular example of this was the some basic postures and such, you know, like you know, my parents were always nagging me to sit straight and stand still and such, and I was like, yeah, okay, I got it. And like, you know, like, and two other things too, like they talked about, which I didn't even consider at the time, was one, how to breathe. Like apparently you're supposed to breathe through your nose and not your mouth. And two, um like, you know, walking, you're supposed to walk in toed like this. It's supposed to shape, your legs are supposed to shape like an 11, as opposed to out toed where your feet are pointed like this. And at the time, I failed. I just refused to accept any of the advice because I was like, you know, man, I'm 23 years old. Like, you know, I've been doing this stuff since I was 2 years old. Why would you want to like even dare to correct me? Do you think I'm stupid or something? Like I just felt internally that way. I was almost as mad as at the lady Abdi from Kitchen Nightmares, who was like managing her restaurant Tavellini. That like, because you know, she felt she was managing the restaurant for 20 years, and then Gordon Ramsay comes and criticizes her. Yeah, like she was kind of feeling like how I felt. The way to sort of like, for those of you with big egos, just know that sort of learning is forever, even if you're a master at something like, say, chess, like people have been learning chess, playing chess for 20 years, grandmasters and such. And like people like Hikaru are still learning how to do it. And you know, with me, like, I'm 23, but you can learn about these things forever. Like, um, I after I came to my senses, I applied this advice to realize learning is forever. And like, I realized that it's actually better to breathe with your nose than with your mouth. Like, one, because it's kind of noisy when you breathe through your mouth, so it might annoy other people. But two, it actually like it's actually not very good for your brain because the blood flow. I don't know the full scientific effects of it, but it decreases the oxygen levels to your brain. And I shouldn't be using this, but there's actually a derogatory term that's to describe this, which is somewhat calling when someone's called a mouth breather, meaning that they're stupid, basically. Yeah. Um, I'm not saying mouth breathers are stupid. I'm just saying it's better to breathe through your nose, basically. And I remember like my friend Isaac, who was in the military. I remember he was breathing with his mouth once, and then like this his sergeant was like, "Hey, you trying to get flies into your mouth?" Yeah. Um, and like, walking like this in toad and such. Like, it's like I've been walking since I was 2 years old. Why would you no since I was a baby? Like, why would I need to learn how to walk? Well, the thing is that, if no one's taught you how to do it the right way, you could be doing something wrong for 20 plus years and still not know you're doing it, basically. So that's the thing. Like, just because you've been doing something for a certain amount of time doesn't necessarily mean you're doing it right. And this is some message I want to send to those with big egos. That and the fact that learning's forever. If something's wrong, like an expert tells you it's wrong, they have a reason. And like here's the thing about Outtoad. Um, it kind of looks like someone's walking like a duck when they're Outtoad. But keep in mind, I'm not offending anyone with this. I'm just making an active reason why you should walk in toad. And second, when you grow older, the inner part of your foot will start hurting because like the way your muscle is fixated on walking like this as opposed to this, and it's gonna hurt these sides of your legs. Yeah. The fourth type of people I do not like is people who are unaware, basically. Uh the best example I could use for this that I don't know if any of you know, his is this guy named Skippy. His real name is Scott Jessup, but he's been calling himself Skippy for like the longest time ever. Um Basically this guy Skippy is like, he's currently 40 years old, and he's still a virgin. And the reason he's still a virgin is because he's bad with girls. And like, he like the thing about Skippy is he's unaware of his mistakes. Um like if you go to YouTube, just search I am Skippy Scott Skippy Jessup, and he probably removed the Scott Skippy Jessup now, but like it used to be called that. And you get to watch all these videos of him being completely weird, not just with girls, but in with life in general. You know, like he treats women like toddlers on their dates. He films the dates, which, the first date is awkward enough. So, to have filming it is just extra awkward. And like, and then, he's just like, weird too. He's like he still lives with his mom. He doesn't have a stable job, and he's overweight. And I'm not making fun of overweight people, but this particular person, Skippy, eats too much junk food. And lastly, I believe No, I don't know if his breath smells. I think it does, but I'm not sure. But when he chews gum, he does it like this. Like he chews it like nah, 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 basically, and it's just really gross to look at. And like, I wish I had the time to teach him, but like, I like many other people have my own stuff to worry about. So I can't go teach him that, sort of stuff. And I'm not blaming his mom. Like if you were 10 years old and you did something wrong or stupid, I would assume that it was your parents who it was your parents who didn't teach you right. But once you turn past 25 or something, I assume that you would have the own judgment to know what is right or wrong. Countless times have I seen in different comments have people said to Skippy, like, oh, Skippy, you need to lose weight. Skippy, you request women to be nice, to be blonde, to be pretty and such, but you yourself need to do that. Skippy, just, exercise every day. Like I've seen it 100 times. And he has not made 1 ounce of progress, like since 2006. If anything, he's gotten worse. And it's like it's just kind of hopeless at this point. Like it really is. He's just unaware of his problems, and not only that, he's unwilling to fix it. um I will talk a bit about, like, I know I'm single myself, and but I do have a few requirements for girls. I'll tell you what one of them isn't. It's that they don't have to be pretty. Because, like, frankly, on a scale of 1 to 10, at most in a suit and tie, I'd be a 6 out of 10, 6 and 5 for a little bit of leniency. Um, and like that part I don't really care about. But if she's overweight, not for medical conditions, and like, she smells because of poor hygiene, like she doesn't shower and such, I would be frankly quite annoyed, because I'm like, why is my girlfriend not caring about these things of herself? Does she not value her body? Does she not value what others will think of her? Like, you're not supposed to judge people, but you can't request everyone in society to be like that, to be understanding. Like, like, why? And even after I tell her to lay off the junk food or she needs to shower and she doesn't do it, can you imagine how I would feel? Like, I would feel like inside, literally. So that was part 4. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was sort of the cunning person. Now, this is a bit complicated, because there are times when being cunning is, like, good, like, when you're facing off your opponents or something like that. But the particular bad side is when, like, when someone appears very nice, but inside they have like bad intentions. Um, it's this sort of term is like, a wolf dressed in sheep's clothing. And there's not really a way you can avoid this, because if you just go and say, I'm going to avoid everyone in society so I don't have to deal with cunning people, you're going to end up isolating yourself. So the best way to deal with this situation is to exercise judgment. Um, I'm going to talk about, like, a particular tenant my family once had. I'm not going to use his name. Let's say that, like, just for sake of this video, let's call him Kennedy. Okay, like, that's not his real name, but let's call him Kennedy. Uh, like, some years ago, like, back in 2017, Kennedy moved into our house. Like, he was about 10 years older than me. And he seemed like, a very confident sort of type of person. And, like, he was like very, nice to me and my parents. And but then when he got inside, like, he wanted to make immediate changes. He wanted to do some garden work. He wanted to change this, change that, and such. And like, we were like a little shaky about it, but like, we didn't really say anything. And this guy, believe it or not, okay, I'm going to talk. This guy is so freaking clever, not in a good way though. This guy, like, we were doing some housework with him, and we were just, like taking a walk with him. And then he waited until the atmosphere was good when I ordered us for some pizza. And then at that exact moment, he dropped the bomb on me and said, Brent, can you do me a favor and offer me your family key early? And I was like, boom. Okay, so like, just for a little bit of context, the way our family does it is like, we only give the key out at the end, the very last day of the month. And the time when this happened was like in the middle of the month, like October 15 and such. So like there was still a good 2 weeks away. And then, he wanted to like, have this, he wanted to have like this sort of like, he said to develop trust, to develop mutual trust and such. This particular guy, Kennedy, waited until we had pizza when the mood was very good, so it would be hard for me to say no to him. And I was like, I held my foot down. I'm like, Kennedy, policies. We're not allowed to offer keys to anyone early on. And then he instantly got mad and he guilt tripped me. And he's like, you know what? Fine. Like, I thought you were a good person, but it turns out you're not. If you want to strictly do business, be a business person, I'll be a business person too. But I keep in mind, I'm going to be seeing each one of your moves. And like, I expect you to do things perfectly. And like, I'm like, hey, Kennedy, don't get offended. He's like, no, yeah, I'm already offended. Like he tried to guilt trip me into being a bad person so that I would just conceive and say yes. But I did not fall for it because I've seen this trick before, so I would know it again. And there's just no sort of way to like avoid these type of people. Like you just have to wait and exercise judgment. And I thought that would be the last time I would hear of him and his shenanigans. But then eventually it got worse. He was like, hey, Brandon, can you help me do the yard work? And I'm like, ugh. And then it like, eventually like, like our family brought him a like, a secondhand refrigerator. We didn't tell him that for obvious reasons. But then he's like, Brent, can you please like come down here and help me fix this fridge? The door, it's just making a bunch of noise. And like I knew how clever what this guy's intentions was. He just wanted to take advantage of me to the utmost maximum ability possible. And then I was like, like I heard the fridge myself, and that fridge was running perfectly. Like it did not have a single like noise problem. Like you would have to be really close to it to be able to hear the sound, and it would be like white noise basically. So then in the end I finally exploded, and then I purposely slammed the door like with such anger. I'm like, why this stupid refrigerator door is not working? I'm like, Kennedy, what are you doing? Why do you keep slamming the door like this? If you keep taking advantage of me, I will not stand it a second longer. Do you understand? And then like he was shocked for like 10 seconds, and then he was like, yes, sorry, sir. And he used the word sir literally. And then like next Tuesday when he wanted to do the laundry, he finally was like, hey Brent, can you please come down and lock the laundry door for me so I could do it just whenever you want, please? And I said yes. And then he said, thank you, sir. And you can see he immediately calmed down after that. So like, yeah, that's like these types of cunning people, you got to know what their aim is, and you got to know about the compound effect. They might request something small out of you, but remember, if I complied, it could turn to bigger and bigger. He may make me do the yard work. He might like, eventually say, hey, stop making noise upstairs or something like that. And then I'd feel like a slave in the house that I rented to him, basically. It just wouldn't make sense. So yeah, those are the sort of the lists I have for these people I cannot stand. Sadly, there isn't a way to sort of get rid of all of them, because as much as I hate to say it, society sort of needs these kind of people. um simply getting rid of them would cause other problems, basically. Like, for example, at work, if you get rid of aggressive people, or people who are cunning, and then your corporation is only consisting of nice people, which would mostly be good, don't get me wrong, but then what would happen is, like, you might be peer pressured to do something by a customer, and you wouldn't have that tough personality there. So it's as complicated as the tax system is today, basically. If you just turn everything flat rate, the tax system is so complicated today that doing that would be like putting a grain of salt into the Pacific Ocean, basically. So as like much as I would want to remove these people, it wouldn't really solve, it would just create other problems, even if it solves some. So yeah, that was all I have for today. I know this was pretty long. I'm gonna get out of here because it's almost my bedtime, and frankly, my throat is really tired from talking all this much. I actually did not plan this video to be this long. My notes here has like 10 words, man. Oh boy, that's all I have for this video. I'd love to stay, but for now, I gotta jump. I'll see you guys on the other side of the bridge. Catch you next time.